Good morning. North Radio Board is in session for the Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 meeting. All to order now, and I'd like to have a roll call made. I will start the roll call by first saying that Frank, our liaison with the City Council, notified us a little bit ago that he is unavailable today. He has another commitment. And now with the roll call for members. Darrell is present. Darrell is present. Rosanna? And you're still muted, Rosanna. There we go. Did we hear your voice? Yeah. Are you there, Rosanna?
It was good. This connecting.
Oh, she's connecting.
Yeah. They say trouble bleeding.
Speech, Rosanna, can you hear us or?
She's still connecting.
Oh, okay.
The audio check.
Mhm. No, it's an internet problem.
Well, we had a big internet outage yesterday afternoon for 15 or 20 minutes.
We've been going out on and off on the street. You know, as we've had some trouble at home and we're on CenturyLink.
Probably the big pipe feeding.
Sunspot.
Yeah.
All the smoke.
Not get this one, slows it down.
Do you want to give her a call and see if she wants to do it on her phone rather
That's what
than the computer?
brewing in my brain was the thought of it. Okay, let's try this. Are you with us, Sarah? Sorry, Rosanna, are you with us?
Yes, Rosanna's present now.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your participation and understand her computer is going through.
Patience.
Please do updates.
Did you
Like that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So we do have a quorum and I appreciate that very much. We can move forward. Approval of the meeting agenda is the next item. I would like to amend the agenda. And I would like to amend the agenda to add a new business item entitled KOSW Radio DJ Termination Review. And as a bit of information, the radio board has received a formal grievance from a radio station DJ prior to the 24-hour required time to review the recent termination made by the city's HR department on behalf of the radio station manager. So that is the first amendment that I would like to propose. Could I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Daryl. Daryl second. Anyone have discussion about it? Hearing none from Rosanna or myself, we will vote to add that to the agenda. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have a full complement on that. Thank you very much. Second amendment that I would like to propose is to add another new business item entitled Appointment of Interim Radio Board Chair. And as a bit of description, as we continue to receive radio board member applications, I would like to wait on appointing a radio board chair or having a vote on the radio board chair until we have a full board. I think it's the best equity model that we can follow. May I hear a second on that?
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Rosanna. Appreciate that. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none now, please vote. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, we've added that to the new business item. Thank you very much. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay, Rosanna, are you good?
Yes.
Okay, and hearing none, we can move on.
Approve the meeting agenda.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so now, let's have a vote to approve, or actually, I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda that has been amended.
I'll move to approve the meeting agenda as amended.
Thank you. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. And, discussion, any? Okay, hearing none, vote please in the, verbally.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, great, thank you. All right, we have approved the meeting agenda, thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes, we do not have minutes for the June 27th meeting. I received no response from a request to the outgoing secretary to supply such minutes and have not had an opportunity to develop the minutes on my own. So they're at a future meeting will present the minutes from the June 27th meeting. Do I have to do anything more than that, Sarah? Okay, thank you. NA. All right, public communications. We have a 3-minute window. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. State your name, address. Oops, could you mute?
She's online now. Oh, bye. So you.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go ahead.
Morning.
Okay, I'm gonna bail out of the phone call. There we go. Thank you. Well, that worked pretty well while it lasted. Okay, so back to the instructions on public comments. Please make your comments courteous and respectful. It's not a question and answer time. The radio board is not to engage in conversation with the public. So with that, do we have any parties that wish to speak at the public communication period?
Thank you. My name is Susan Canara and I'm a resident here of Ocean Shores. And I came today because I had heard that Dave had been terminated as a volunteer, and I'm quite troubled by that. I know Dave well, I've known him for a long time. I'm also concerned because there have been other volunteers who've been terminated during the years that I've lived here, and I'm beginning to see a pattern in this. I don't want to say any more than that, and I look forward to hearing what Dave has to say later, but I am here to support his position that he has been thankfully terminated, and I do hope that the board will reconsider. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, please.
So I just had a comment about, so,
Excuse me, would you mind?
oh, Jane Shower, yeah. Forgot about everybody out of the room. So with the, candidate forums and everything that's going on, I know the radio board had decided to stay out of, or had discussed staying out of doing any candidate or anything for any of the candidates. And one of the forums was broadcasted on there, which is, as far as I understand, it's under all of the guidelines and everything. But just to mention that you had mentioned staying out of it totally. One of my questions is why then not all the candidates forums are being carried by the radio, because there's several going on. And then my other one is a concern that I have. I know this happened last year, where there were forums and debates to where, certain candidates, one of the candidates opposing candidate cannot attend, because of some other previous engagement. And so I want to ensure that if that happens this year, that it is not broadcast when that opposing person is not available, per FCC regulations on there, as far as offering them the same opportunity as the others. So that is another concern I have going forward with these forums, and if not both candidates are available, that it is not broadcast.
And thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, thank you all for your public comments. We appreciate that. We'll move on to reports.
I'm sorry I couldn't get my phone to respond to my fingertips.
Oh, okay. And name and and address?
Just your name.
Just your name, please.
Hi, we got it.
She muted.
Gina, did you have a public comment?
Okay, please go ahead and proceed. Oops, you're muted again. Keeps talking.
Okay, hold on for just a second.
He loves technology too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I apologize for the confusion. I'm having some difficulty with internet as well.
Okay, what can we do to accommodate you?
So I again wanted to talk about the election process and broadcast, and hope that if there is an opportunity to have two candidates together and the request has been put in, that there would be an effort to put forth the time and energy to go ahead and record and have the audio through the radio station. And I ask that for voter knowledge. There's not supposed to be a forum that is supposed to be attacking or suggest that any candidate be treated poorly, and I can assure you that that won't be the case. What we want is for voters to be educated and to have an idea of name and face and what those candidates stand for. And I'd really appreciate the cooperation of the radio station if that's at all possible.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, any further items from the public? Comments? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to our report. Says chair report, I'm the outgoing chair, but I'll cover the bases just because there have been some things going on. The estimated budget for the new biennial cycle is being refined with the help of the city clerk and with the station managers at KOSW. So that is in process. We have had 5 applicants that have been interviewed for the open. We have 2 open positions on the radio board right now. And we have so far interviewed 5, and when I say we, I mean Mayor Martin and I. He invited me to join him in the review process. And we actually have a few more that we're hoping to have come in soon. We've been in communication with some people who are likewise interested. So we don't want to hastily make a decision in that regard, and we'll be entertaining other interested parties who would like to join the Ocean Shores Radio Board. So we want to make sure that that is continued to be shared both through our meetings as well as city council meetings until those positions are filled. Let's see. That's pretty much it for my report. I have some other details that I'll bring up in technology. So let's move on to the station report from Trey and or Butch.
No report?
No, don't got anything.
All I've got is I want to thank the volunteers for all their participation in all the summer events we had this year at the Ocean Shores Convention Center. They did a great job. Starting soon, I don't know, maybe you might talk about a little bit, I don't know, but we're gonna be simulcasting several of our shows on channel 68 here coming up pretty soon. The midday shows, Hot Country, and the morning show, right? Is that the ones? I don't have a date for that yet, but it's gonna be fairly soon. And also I talked to Joe at Tall Cool Sports or Shirts or
Too Cool Sports.
Sports, whatever it is. I talked to Joe anyway, and he's gonna refine the KOSW logo to make it work.
Okay,
He said he can do that.
Great.
So
wonderful.
that's it.
Okay. On the technology report, I have adjusted the RBDS/RDS radio display service data stream that is transmitted over KOSW. It gives artist and title information. And traditionally, it's been when there's dynamic information, when a song is played, the artist and title information is extracted, sent digitally over the internet to, when the website gets dialed in, display the artist and title information. But what we do with it at the radio station end is we send that out over the air so that if you have a receiver that has a digital display that shows artist and title, it will show what's actually being aired at the time when it's music. I've modified it a little bit to make it a little more attractive to the radio station. So now, even if there's no music being played, it says KOSW LP Ocean Shores, the sound of the shores. And that will repeat constantly. And then if a song comes in, it says an additional now playing, and the artist title information shows up. So it makes it a little more attractive, and it doesn't just fall to a blank display or something odd when music is not being displayed. Let's see, another item, on August 3rd, the FCC and FEMA announced their next scheduled national periodic test of the emergency alert system. And this is going to be, once again, a test of all radio, television, so AM, FM television, cable systems, as well as cell phones. And that will be on Wednesday, October 4th, at approximately 11:20 a.m. Pacific time. It's uncertain. It's possible that at 11:20, the emergency alerts will be sent out to test the system. The cell phone ones may come out around 11:22 or 11:23, or they might come out a little before the one that goes out for the regular emergency broadcast. It hasn't been absolutely determined yet, but be aware that on October 4th, Wednesday at about 11:20 a.m., your cell phone's probably gonna light up, and soon thereafter will be an announcement carried on all broadcast outlets across the country simultaneously. And again, it's just a test of the system. So if something goes wrong, There are many elements of the emergency broadcast system that are dependent on a daisy chain approach. So if something fails, a different aspect will be covered through another radio station perhaps. Yeah, I know in the past, we had a failure of an antenna of the receiving system, so we missed one of the tests. And that's why we test, to find out, and it helps point us to trouble areas that need improvement for next time. So with any luck, we'll be completely ready for this one. Let's see what else. I think that's it for the technology report at this time. Since Frank is out, we can skip the council liaison report.
We got a question.
Yes.
You can help me with this. Is there a new Christian station coming on at 91.5?
Yes, it's over in northeast of Aberdeen.
Is it gonna intrude in our 91.3 area?
Unlikely, it's a reasonably low power station. Let's see, KWFV, I believe they're in the 500 or 600 watt range, something like that. And but their focal area is in the Aberdeen, hopefully, but it's not a big station. So
It's not like Westport.
no, correct. It'll be an actual class A station, but it will be far enough away that it should not cause any cost at 91.3. Additionally, I guess as a quick follow-up note on technology, there will be another opening for the first time in another 11 years or so, I think, for the FCC to have low power FM stations to fly. So there is an opportunity if citizens or churches or whomever else would like to apply for an FCC license as a low power FM, similar to the configuration that KOSW presently has. That window of opportunity will be opening up in November, I believe it is.
Do we have a choice if we want to go to 88.9 even low power?
No,
We don't.
no. Well, 88.9 would be precluded from low power because of the new KOSW operation. So
I mean, if we're not up and running on that yet.
we're still on 91.3 until the other one starts. And as soon as we start on 88.9 to actual, we get a permit to proceed. Then we have to vacate 91. And my intention there is to take the old equipment from 91.3, leave it exactly where it is, change the frequency of it, apply to the FCC to use that as an emergency backup facility in case the new site fails. It'll be on 88.9 then, and we'll maintain presence on the air. So, no, and it will be pretty close to interference free overall of Ocean Shores as it is now. It doesn't completely cover it, of course. But we'll have less impact because it won't be affected by the Westport station the way that KOSW presently is. Okay. Moving on to board member reports. I'll start out by saying that I did visit the American Tower site, the new site for KOSW FM, and the road's completely passable. The foliage has been cut back. There should be no significant issues in getting to the site. They filled in a lot of the road dips where there were muddy patches with several truckloads, many truckloads, because it's over a mile from the road into the site. Gravel, some of it's still a little bit loose. It hasn't been totally compacted, but it's completely passable and should be no problem at all for the tower crew, the electrician, and the delivery of the building when that's the time is available. So I'd say we're nearing the active construction period at the site. Right now, the outstanding issues that are preventing us from actually proceeding with the construction at the site is building permits and electrical permits. Building permit from the county for the as I understand it, we have, building permits for the very small building that we're going to be using, 64 square foot building. They still wanted permits, so we got the permits. Now we have a challenge where they're asking for permits to, attach to the existing tower that's there. It's the first time I've had a county require an actual permit for that, but, so be it. So the city is going through the process of, obtaining that, permit for the, installation of the back-end antenna, the microwave dish, and the 2 transmission lines that come down the tower. So, when that's issued, then the, coordination with the tower, rigger company that actually does the installation, will be set. And, construction will begin as far as the, accumulation of the items for the site, at the site, so that they can be installed. Yeah, the permit for the building is to be picked up shortly. And, and the Transmere building, the 64 square foot building is expected to arrive by truck, shortly after Labor Day. So I don't know if it'll be in the week following Labor Day, but hopefully within a week or week and a half.
Are we still looking at October? I mean, that's your.
It's up to the county. If they issue us a permit in a timely manner, we can get things done promptly and probably beat October. If for some reason it takes an extended period of time for the county to process it, since it's their first one, it might take them longer. I don't know.
Well, I was approached yesterday from the Associated Arts.
Uh-huh.
They wanted me to come up and give a little spiel about when we're going to go 88.9, but I have no date for them. I told them that.
Yeah.
I says, I have no idea. So.
I can't put a date on it. It's just not.
I didn't think you could.
Yeah. Daryl, do you have a board member report?
I do, several things going on. We've got a staff meeting for all of KOSW for this Friday where we'll go over some of the simulcasts that which I talked about. And right now, there's no date that I can say when that election will happen because my laptop guy, I've got a repair guy in Aberdeen, and I've got no idea when it's going to come back or if it will come back. So if it doesn't come back, then I'll have to start over a whole bunch of things. So I've lost a lot of stuff. This Thursday, Hayaks are having their practice. Hayaks football team is currently going on practice, but the KOSW sports team will attend a Hayak football practice this Thursday in the afternoon to see what they're doing. And last year we had a kind of a media day where we spoke to we did this for basketball as well. We spoke to high school kids on what to expect with the radio broadcast if they come up to the booth or we interview them or whatnot. So it's going to be a kind of a learning practice for them. And Jerry's doing a really good job creating media advisories. And he's plans on putting one out before every game to the home, a bunch of locations here in town to get the word out that we're broadcasting these games, as well as the opposing team, so that those folks could listen to the games as well, and give them an idea what's going on. The first football game is on September 1st, where the Hayaks host to Waco. And then on the 8th, Hayaks travel to Chief Leshai. I've already committed, so I can't do those first 2 games. I did commit previously on Friday, the 8th, to go to the North Beach Junior Senior High School for their back to school night. And it's something that the high school is putting on, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to the parents, and I think the students, although it's a football night, so I think it's all parents, about some opportunities for high school kids to get involved with the media here in town. So we have a lot of need for web developers. We can use kids for on the sports broadcast teams, still photographers, and then even in computerized things. So there's a lot of opportunities for training if a student wants to do that. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's it from here.
Great, thank you, Daryl. Rosanna, any report on your board activities?
He's been coming in and out.
You muted at the moment.
Yeah, do you want to rejoin us here on the speakerphone? Okay, well, you're muted right now. It shows on the screen. If you're able to unmute, that would be great. Oh, there you go. Are you there? Well, okay, I'll tell you what, Rosanna, let me put you on the speakerphone. And we'll carry on again, and hopefully we won't have a echo feedback. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, yes, did you have any board member report for us, Rosanna?
No, I don't.
Okay, no, thank you. Great, yeah, more feedback. Okay, radio station financials are gonna be presented by Sarah. I know you distributed those to us, thank you.
So I don't know if she wants to mute her Zoom side.
Yeah, can you mute your mic, there you go, that should help.
Well, she needs to mute the phone.
Use either mute the phone or mute the computer.
Yeah, so now her,
No, the sound, that sound going out, sound coming into her. That's what you're getting.
so your microphone needs to get muted on your phone
Yes.
also. Thank you. Appreciate that, Rosanna. Feel free to unmute if you have any input that you'd like to include. Okay, Sarah, with the financials?
So all of these are under the radio board on the FilePro site. If anybody wants to go look, as you know, we were backed up with the finance department and I got these kind of all at one time with the exception of last month, it came right on time. And then this month, which is for last month. Anyway, the expenses to date are $16,625.82, and that leaves the total balance for the biennium budget at $138,892.93. The only thing that we added was a cleaning service to the station that was in desperate need of it. So that was the only thing that we didn't already have in the budget, but they've stayed right on track. The station managers and Marty with equipment, and so we haven't even expended half the budget thus far.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Okay. All right. On to old business. I don't have any items under old business. So we can move on to new business item number 1, which is the KOSW radio DJ termination review. To our board members, on August 21st, 2023, I received a grievance from the city's Human Resources Department, which had been circulated out to you, both Rosanna and Daryl. At this time, is for Mr. Bunch to provide context behind his grievance to the board. It's not a question and answer time. After which of this time, the board will allot time to review the grievance made and the response from Mr. Bunch and any relevant documentation that may go with the complaint and grievance. At the next regular radio board meeting, we will have an item listed in order to vote on the reinstatement or termination confirmation of Mr. Bunch. In the event that the board deems a need to have an executive session to discuss amongst one another, then we would need to go to the city council for, be on the city council agenda item for approval, because our requirement is that the city council approve any executive session time for this board. Or it can be discussed in an open forum at the September radio board meeting. So with that, I will turn the floor over to David Bunch.
All right. So, thank you. Of course, you all know me. Well, I think some people don't. I'm Dave. And, yeah, to my surprise, I received a letter. It's undated. But I received it on, last Friday. And it was from the, Ocean Shores, Human Resource Manager. It was nice to receive a letter from her because it's the first one I've received in quite some time. And I'll just cut to the chase. There's only 2 lines in there that are worth repeating because first, she says that that they received a request from the KOSW radio station manager /S for immediate termination of volunteer privileges, citing an inability to continue relationships. Then she cites a Ocean Shores volunteer agreement termination, and then she cites a section E of the KOSW radio station, well, it says here policy, which doesn't really exist because we have a section E under the volunteer handbook of KOSW. And as you know, in our past meetings, we have at least at one time talked to the city HR person who told us in public that she would be giving us a new copy of what she was going to propose to be a volunteer manual and give us time to review it, take our input, and then go from there. Since I've been on the board until the last meeting that we had, I know that that has never taken place. So she can rewrite anything she wants, but it doesn't, and it really doesn't differ that much. There's just a couple of things that are slightly do not quote the exact what our manual says, but in my response to her, I tried to give an example that, you know, citing a rule that nobody knows about would be like making a rule to have all DJs wear green tennis shoes and then write them up because they didn't know about the rule that existed. And she goes on in the letter, there's one more line that says, appreciate the time I volunteered, and but due to the impacts and action at KOSW, the city is obliged to agree with and approve the request to terminate volunteer status. And then tell me that as of, I think the day before I even got this, that I would no longer have access and yada, yada, yada. So that is that. And you may ask what changed in the last few weeks and what circumstance brought this to bear all of a sudden such a big emergency. And I'll tell you, nothing whatsoever has happened. It's business as usual. I did my show 2 days a week, had no, don't have any interaction with anybody in the past few weeks. A couple times I've been asked to stay over on one of the shows to help hook up a city unscheduled meeting. I did that. Another time I was asked to hook up another city unscheduled meeting. And then later the day I was told that they decided they weren't going to cover that meeting. And so I wasn't needed to do that. So I've had no issues in the station, and certainly don't have verbal conflicts with anybody that I work with. But I'm going to get on now to what I'm going to call my case here. This is so I've gone over my termination letter. I'm going to talk about my dedicated service over the recent 6 months, and actually longer, but I'm just going to showcase the last 6 months. I've consistently shown unwavering dedication and commitment to KOSW and the Ocean Shores community. Beyond my regular radio shows, I have selflessly contributed countless hours to the benefit of the station and the community. And I know a lot of other people do the same thing. I have held the pivotal role of chairing board meetings when our chairman has not been here. and ensuring their accurate documentation and responsibility for submitting minutes for every meeting up until the last day of my tenure. And so at times I took on both those duties at the same time, secretary and chairman. My service extends beyond the confines of the boardroom. I have been an active participant and volunteer in notable community events with KOSW, of course, including the Razor Clam Festival, that Butch just thanked me for. Thank you. You're welcome. The Razor Clam Festival, the Sand and Sawdust Festival, and Hog Wild. In instances when KOSW faced challenge, such as missed recordings of a special council meeting, because nobody reminded me that I was supposed to hit the record meeting, I proactively on my own sourced a copy of that special council meeting. I was able to strip the audio off of that, format it to the correct standards, and sent that to the station so they could upload it to the SoundCloud. Let's see, so it can be so it can be hooked up. So it's on record now. So then, moreover, in my pursuit of improving the radio experience for our listeners, I dedicated hours to create, record, and personalize DJ drops tailored for our esteemed colleagues, including Rosanna. I did some for Jerry. I did several for Greg, Mike, and Ed Schroll. And they are now using those DJ drops that I put in, or gave them. They can use them whenever they want. While my contributions to KOSW are vast, my service doesn't stop there. My commitment to the town of Ocean Shores is evident in my active volunteering roles during Flag Day, and once again on Hog Wild, where I supported other community organizations as well. I believe in the mission of KOSW and the enrichment of the Ocean Shores community. I believe my proven track record of dedication and selfless service speak for itself. Now I'm going to talk about my journey to this point. I stand before you today not as another DJ, but as, well, Dave Bunch, the voice behind Dizzy Dave on the radio. Dedicated member of the KOSW family, seeking to share my side of the story. This tale is, I unfurl, began in the throes of a February chill as I decided to step back from hosting news and weather. I found myself unexpectedly caught in a whirlwind of passive aggressive emails from a manager. The tenor of these communications was unsettling. It wasn't just the content, it was the aggressive undertones that took me aback. Concerned, I turned to the HR department of the city of Ocean Shores, trusting that they would address the situation. I spoke about my own experiences and things I witnessed during some of my time at the studio during the nights, and things I heard and saw. I also shared stories from other DJs of tales that painted a concerning picture of this particular manager. However, instead of solutions or clarity, my role started diminishing. Without any specific reason, I saw one of my primary duties, helping to bring the city council meetings on air, being taken away from me, and I felt sidelined and unheard. So I filed a grievance for an unbiased investigation of why that role ended, because there was never an investigation into any of that. And the reason I know is because nobody ever asked me any questions. And working in labor for many years, you cannot do a complete investigation without talking to everybody involved. And nobody ever bothered to ask me what happened. So, anyway, I hoped that I filed hoping for an unbiased or any investigation, but I was met instead with silence. Yet my dedication remained unshaken, as evidenced when I extended my hours several times at a manager's request. Yeah, and to this date, I've never, even though I submitted a written grievance, I have never gotten any response whatsoever. It has never been dismissed, or anything. So it's just sitting out there in limbo, I guess, ignored. Then came the fateful day of August 8th, when I mistakenly arrived a week early for what I believed was going to be a radio board interview. As I waited, I confided in someone I've known and respected for a while, Marty Hatfield, the former chairman of this very board, would understand the sanctity, hoped he would understand the sanctity of the space. I was just waiting. The mayor was in the other room, and I told him of my intention to file EEOC complaint, against KOSW, highlighting deeper issues that seemed to be eroding the core of our beloved station. Little did I know that this candid confession would precede my sudden termination on the grounds of relationship challenges. Yet the story doesn't end there. The managers responsible for my termination are the very same that I'd reported, by even providing the mayor a tape recording of a meeting that I sat in, where a manager was talking to volunteers and trying to get them to walk out of the station should the city not do something that he was demanding. The same managers are intricately linked to the North Beach Independent Media, a 501c3 entity. And despite the entity's involvement in managing funds meant to ease the community's burden, there seemed to be a lack of transparency in its dealings, with KOSW broadcasting at a diminished capacity and bearing the weight of an unused tower's cost. And of course, and that's already, you can see that in the financial report where we're paid 2 months already of a tower we're not using. And I questioned the judicious use of community funds that remain unanswered. And even when we talked about trying to have a liaison at the NBIM meetings, objections were raised, which also to me raised red flags. Ladies and gentlemen, the tale is not of just personal trials, it's a reflection of values we hold dear: fairness, transparency, and commitment. Through my journey, I've strived to uphold the principles and be it advocating for board accountability or pushing for transparency. My attempt to spotlight potential mismanagement were met with resistance and perhaps retaliation. Today, I'm here not to seek sympathy, but to appeal for your sense of justice. It's about reinstating not just Dizzy Dave, but the trust and values that form the backbone of KOSW. Now, by having me here today, and forcing me to plead my case in public forum, I have a lot of problems with that, okay? Yeah, I may be a volunteer, or may have been a volunteer, but I want to let you know that under Washington state law, the same law that all of our board members, matter of fact, one of them just took an oath to uphold, and congratulations on your reappointment. Like, for instance, RCW 34.180 specifically protects whistleblowers in varying scenarios. I feel I've faced retaliation after unveiling potential wrongdoing. This RCW provides significant legal protections afforded to volunteers. In my capacity as volunteer, I was fulfilling responsibilities by addressing concerns and upholding KOSW's principles. So the following laws are applicable: 42 U.S. Code Chapter 139, the Volunteer Protection Act, which ensures that volunteers like me, when acting within their responsibilities, are not held liable or punished for my actions. Me being forced to defend myself and the subsequent trauma that that this kind of thing causes is just wrong, and there's laws that I believe will show that that this is anyway. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to get into that. I'll let a lawyer do it. And then I want to state another RCW 4.24.670 and 35.21.7278. Both of these RCWs underline protections for volunteers. I know the city seems to think that, well, if they say volunteer's gone, you're gone. Not always. It says subjecting a volunteer to public humiliation is a violation in essence of these laws. Potential violations are CW, my abrupt termination and the circumstances surrounding it breach various sections of Washington Revised Code, RCW 4960.210, RCW 4960.120. These sections outline unfair practices and prohibit discrimination, preference, or reprisal, forcing me into a public setting to plead this case and subsequent disregard of my grievance is construed as an unfair practice and discrimination. And I have the funds to defend myself. The RCW 51.12.035, this provision ensures protection for individuals who file complaints. By ignoring my grievance over 5 months, the city is contravening this RCW. That was a trauma. Anyway, this will be good on camera. RCW 4960, while it primarily focuses on employers, its essence is against unfair practices. If my treatment can be construed as unfair, this also could be applicable. Compensation and fair treatment of volunteers. I know that's a funny thing for me to bring up, even though I am not seeking any compensation directly. Ensuring volunteers are fairly treated and understanding their compensation nature is paramount. And 29 CFR 553 subpart B by the U.S. Department of Labor opinion that references the nature of volunteer compensation and emphasizes their fair treatment. If any element of my treatment as a volunteer is deemed unfair, these would serve as relevant references. Forcing me to defend myself in a public board meeting and exposing me to potential humiliation. Hope you're enjoying this. Humiliation, trauma, violates various laws, RCWs. And those that protect volunteers and whistleblowers. Legal recourse will be sought based on these potential violations. Okay, where am I? Get my head together here. I'm dang near done. I'm gonna be so glad. Now, supporting facts for my grievance. Evidence of confrontation. Emails from KOSW directors showcase the confrontational tones and behaviors towards me. In those, matter of fact, in my replies, I addressed the tone of those letters after I had them analyzed by a professional that can identify aggressive and demeaning and other things that I'm not wouldn't know the words to put to them. Unresolved grievance. My grievance of anyway, I shared that with the HR, not the grievance, but with the emails. I shared that with the HR director in early February 23. And serves as testament to the inappropriate behavior which I've been subjected to. Unresolved grievance. My grievance dated February 22nd against KOSW manager remains unresolved, indicating a lack of due diligence in addressing staff concerns and discrimination. I ignored efforts. Despite my proactive approach to contributing to the station, such as my eagerness to record sponsor messages, my attempts has consistently been disregarded. Because up until a few months ago, I, like every other DJ in the station, could certainly record any sponsorship events or advertise. Well, we don't call them advertisements, but sponsorship spots. And then all of a sudden, I found myself not getting copied on anymore on any scripts to have the opportunity to record such sponsorship spots. This is disparaging treatment and one that I was subjected to by myself. I also brought that up to the HR person for all the good it does. And of course, I consistently sent emails to that particular manager, letting him know that I was available to record those scripts. In the past, he had even told me how well he liked my wife's voice on some of those scripts. So I also offered to let her record some, and that's just a simple thing of emailing me a script, I record it. Do whatever I need to, send it back to him, and he uses it if he sees fit. But no, that was even asking too much. And that is, it's incredible that I'm the one sitting here. Community reputation at risk. Well, no, ignored efforts. No, and I did that one already, despite my proactive attempts at contributing to the station. They've been disregarded. Community reputation at risk. This is a small community. Anyway, so a lot of my emails have been circulated to people I didn't think had any business seeing any of them. My home address has been put on some. And I think that should be private. I can certainly know every home address of every volunteer if I wish to know it, and I don't advertise those to the public or anybody else. Questionable decisions such as the attempts to stage a walkout in 2022 and the unclear procedures surrounding the formation of 501c3 that I brought up many times, where we have no written agreement with the 501c3 on how much of the percentages or anything else the station will get from any of the funds that are raised. And given these supporting facts, I believe there's ample evidence to suggest my termination was not based on performance or professional grounds. And through all this, I've stayed positive. I've done my shows. I never talked about anything negative at the station, never have, and never will. My request for relief. With the comprehensive legal protections in the state of Washington that encompass volunteers, my termination from KOSW appears not only to be unjust, but potentially contrary to state norms and legal safeguards designed for volunteers. I must emphasize the Volunteer Protection Act and specific RCWs that underline volunteer work significance, pushing for protection against undue harm, liability, or unjust termination. I've worked all my life. I've never been terminated from any job ever. The Department of Defense clearance. And so this is especially, well, if it wasn't so sad, it'd be humorous. But the broader understanding of volunteer compensation and guidelines further showcase Washington State's commitment to fair treatment. The details of my termination require a thorough investigation, especially in light of these legal provisions. And I implore you to revisit the decision concerning my association with KOSW. And despite your thing of what you said the procedure should be, I implore you for immediate reinstatement while you do your thorough investigation of my unjust termination is explored. And lastly, that's probably a sigh of relief you're breathing, but I was recently in the Holocaust Museum with my granddaughters. And I won't put any, comparison with the Holocaust survivor, no, not even close. But there is a poem there that I've had on my refrigerator for many years. And I just recently was there, like I said, with my granddaughters and bought them the same thing. And it wasn't even a Jewish piece. It was written by a Lutheran pastor named Martin Niemöller. And the poem speaks to the dangers of apathy and the consequences of not speaking out against persecution. Niemöller himself initially supported Nazis, but became an outspoken critic of their policy, particularly against the church. He spent years in concentration camps due to his opposition. And the poem has been widely circulated over the years. And it simply said that first they came for the socialists and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists And I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for all the Jews. I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me and there was nobody left to speak for me. I'll tell you that first they came for Debbie Roldan, and I did not speak out because I was not a woman. Then they came for Bill Green. I did not speak out because he was before my time and I didn't know him. Then they came for Halcyon Lewis Simmons, and I did not speak out because he may have been gay and I didn't understand. Then they came for me and there's no one left. That's how I recite that. And as I conclude, I humbly ask you to reflect upon why I'm really here today and hope that you decide in the best interest of KOSW and the community that we serve. And with that, thank you. For myself some relief.
Well, thank you for that, Dave.
And I think I'll bid you adieu.
Okay. So, does the board feel that we should request an executive session opportunity so that we can privately discuss the matters that were brought before us? Or in the alternative, wait until the next radio board meeting and have an open discussion among the board members to address the matters that were brought forth. I believe the underlying note is having time to digest the matters that were just presented to us and be able to have a cogent response when we're completed with our deliberations on it. So could I hear a motion to select between the two? Would that be acceptable, Sarah? Or how? Well,
I would just, does anybody want an executive session? If nobody pipes up, then.
okay. Okay, I'll phrase it this way. Is there any objection, Rosanna or Daryl, to process this matter at the next regular radio board meeting, which will be September? Any objection, Rosanna?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, are we saying that we have a choice between? Hold on. Oh, we saying that we have a choice between executive session for the regular board meeting or regular board meeting?
Okay, so the process, as I understand it, is if we were to select requesting an executive session from the city council, getting permission from the city council to hold an executive session, that at that time we would determine when the executive session would be held. I don't believe it's up to the city council to decide that. No, it's up to us as the radio board members to decide when we would have the executive session. Well, it would have to be before a final decision was presented through the board. So it would either have to be before the next radio board meeting or at some time in the future.
I think that would be. I really, I do not, because they were thorough and before I thought it was about this matter. Radio.
Okay, so I think as I understand it, you're saying that we should request now, of course, I don't know what happens if the city council decides to not grant us permission. I don't know that anybody's ever asked for permission in the past. You know, that's predicated on them approving a executive session. So is that consistent with what you're thinking, that if we did a request to the city council and they come back and say, yes, you are permitted to have, I know you're on a short time clock too, Bill.
Where is he leaving? Is he leaving?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I think he's just run
You
to.
might just,
But let's hold for a moment then, so that, when Daryl comes back. Okay, Rosanna, please go ahead and, state your position or your question.
What Dave just spoke about. So it's such a project.
Yes, it is.
That's fine, I think that would be, so you can get a. Before all of this, that with the lady, there's a lot to talk about in this country. And I just dare do something like that.
Okay. You concur, Daryl?
Yeah.
Okay. And I likewise concur. So we will petition the city council for an opportunity to have an executive session as described in our bylaws, I believe. And we will find out what the timing is when the city council either grants or denies our request for a special executive session. All right. You have to hold it. No, I guess we just technically did.
Yeah,
All right,
that's good.
perfect. Okay, next item is the interim appointment of interim radio board chair. Would either of you, Rosanna or Daryl, enjoy having a position of interim chair on the radio board?
I nominate Marty Hadden.
There you go. Discussions. Yeah, all right, I'm open to it. I guess we should hold a quick vote. Rosanna,
Yeah.
yes, of course. And Daryl?
No discussion.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I.
Okay, all right, and I vote aye. So, okay, so I'll continue as an interim chair, and we'll continue to move forward until we have our full complement of members. Next item is any points of discussion for the good of the order? Rosanna? None?
Yeah, I got it. I like the news that they're doing on the station. Like that's.
Thank you.
You know, I kind of look forward to it. So,
Yes.
I'm good.
Thank you, Daryl. I agree. And I find that I'm starting to watch the clock a little bit so that I can make sure that I try to grab at least some of the content from it. It's not always cream of the crop news, but it's interesting, concise, and I'm sorry, say again, Rosanna? Nice addition. Thank you very much. Okay. And Butch?
When we go simulcast on the midday shows. And maybe, not the night morning, so we're going to name the midday show. They may move the newscast to the half hour instead of the top of the hour. That way the news can also be then simulcast on channel 68 along with our broadcast.
We maintain a presence at the
Yeah,
top of the hour?
instead of noon, it'll go to 12:30.
Oh, okay, so you'll abandon the noon one?
No, just move it to
Noon one will
12:30.
Go to 12:30 You mean it will fall, you'll appear twice?
No,
No, it's, well, all right, the reason that we're gonna move it, we're considering moving it, is that we need a block so that they can do their advertising when we're doing our underwriting. It's a matter of timing.
at the top of the hour, the TV's gonna be doing their thing for the 4 minutes.
Yeah, well, think about it long and hard, because people are getting used to the timing of availability for the news, and there's maybe it's my own personal, perception of, when newscasts are top. And usually you do the top of the hour and bottom, or top of the hour, don't usually just do the.
What we could do maybe is.
So this stuff you guys can figure
No,
out,
I
I
know.
wanna tie it up in this meeting.
No,
Okay, thank you. All right, no further discussions. Future meeting date is slated for September 26th at 10:30 here at the Ocean Shores Library. And, like to hear a call for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And a second? We have a second, we are adjourned. Thank you very